Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. Today I have a very special story for you. This story is about a boy named Lucas. Lucas was 17 years old. He lived a very comfortable life. He had everything he wanted. But one morning, everything changed. He lost his house. He lost his money. He lost his comfortable life. But what he found after that was worth so much more. This is the story of Lucas Holt, a boy who lost everything and found himself. Are you ready? Let's begin. Lucas Holt was 17 years old. He lived in a beautiful house in West London, 5 bedrooms, a swimming pool, expensive cars. Everything felt perfect. His father worked long hours every day. "I work hard so you don't have to, son." Lucas never worried about money. He spent his days playing games and sleeping late. Every morning his mother said, "Lucas, please study today." "Yes, Mum, later." But later never came. Life was easy, and easy felt forever. But nothing is forever. Part 2, the morning everything broke. It was a cold Tuesday morning in November. At 7:15, Lucas's door opened. His father's face was white. His eyes were red. "Lucas, I need to tell you something very difficult. The company is gone. We have big debts. We have nothing left." Lucas was shocked. He had never seen his father cry. "Is this real, Papa?" "Yes, son, it is real. I am so sorry." Nothing would ever be the same again. They had 3 weeks to leave. Lucas walked through every room, the kitchen, the garden, the empty pool. On the last morning, his mother stood at the door. She looked at the house one final time. "A house is just walls and a roof, Lucas. Home is the people inside it." She picked up her bag and walked away. Lucas took one last look. Then he followed her. 2 small bedrooms, a broken tap, no garden, no light. His mother worked at a bakery, up at 5 every morning, never complained. His father went to interviews every day. Every evening, the same answer. "Not today." One evening his mother sat at the table. Bread, potatoes, beans. That was dinner. She closed her eyes. She was exhausted. Lucas sat across from her. "Mum, I want to help." She held his hand. "Go find work, my son." She smiled. It was tired, it was worried, but it was proud. Lucas woke up at 6. First time in his life. He went to every shop on the street. "Do you need any help?" "Sorry, no experience. I can do anything." "We are not hiring. Any hours, any work. Come back later." 7 hours, every shop, every door, always the same answer. "No, sorry, not today." He sat on a bench in the park. He looked at his soft hands, hands that had never worked. He felt something new. He felt small. And that feeling was the beginning of everything. Near the park gate, an old man, a small wooden cart, hot coffee, sandwiches. A sign said, "A kind word, always free." The old man walked over. He sat down next to Lucas. He put a hot coffee in his cold hands. "Eat first, talk after." Lucas was too cold and too hungry to say no. "How much do I owe you?" "Nothing. Today it is free." "Why?" "Because 50 years ago I sat on this exact bench, cold, hungry, lost. A woman gave me tea and bread. She asked for nothing. She said, 'One day, do this for someone else.'" He looked at Lucas. "So today I do it for you." "What is your name?" "George. George Miller." "Lucas Holt." They shook hands, and something began. One morning, Lucas asked, "Why do you still do this? You could rest." George looked at the morning sky. "If I stayed home, what would I do? Wait?" This cart is not about money, it is about purpose. Someone is waiting for their coffee. That means I matter. That is enough. Another day, a rude customer complained loudly. Lucas felt angry, but George smiled. "I'm sorry, let me make you a fresh one." When the man left, Lucas said, "He was rude. You didn't deserve that. Arguing with a rude man makes two rude men. I only want to be one." Lucas wrote everything in his notebook. The hardest days make the strongest men. A small, honest job is worth more than a big, dishonest one. Always choose calm. His mother noticed one evening. "You seem different, Lucas. Older. But in a good way. I am proud of you." 4 words. Worth more than anything money ever bought. 10 months passed. One rainy morning, Lucas opened his notebook. Numbers, savings, every week since January. "George, what if we opened our own cafe? Small, simple, warm, yours and mine." George was quiet for a long time. "My wife's name was Eleanor. She wanted a cafe for 40 years. Warm lights, flowers on the tables. We always said, 'Next year.'" He stopped. "She died 3 years ago, and we never did it." Silence. Only the rain. Lucas said gently, "Then let's do it. For Eleanor." George's eyes were wet, but he smiled. "Eleanor would have loved you." "All right, boy, let's build a cafe. 14 shops, 4 weeks. Too big, too expensive, too dark. Then Henley Lane. Small, quiet, dirty inside, but big windows, morning light." Lucas stood in the middle. "This is the one." "It needs a lot of work," George said. "Look at the light, George." George looked at the golden morning light falling across the dusty floor. Eleanor would have liked the light. They signed the papers the next day. 6 weeks of hard work. Lucas scrubbed floors, cleaned windows. His father painted the walls warm white, fixed the window, built tables and chairs. His mother brought soup and bread for the workers. She walked around and gave opinions on everything. "Flowers on every table," she said firmly. "Yellow ones, small and cheerful." George smiled, but said nothing. They named it George and Lucas. Good coffee, good people. Lucas painted the name above the door himself. 3 evenings to get it right. The letters were not perfect, but they were real. Eleanor would have approved, George said quietly. Lucas could not sleep the night before. He arrived at 5:30. George was already there. Yellow flowers on every table, every cup polished. The cafe smelled of coffee and clean wood. "Are you nervous?" George asked. "Yes." "Good. Nervous means you care. Caring is the most important ingredient." At 7, the door opened. First customer, a woman in a blue coat, coffee, bread, sat by the window, stayed 45 minutes. At the door, she stopped. "This is a lovely place. I will come back tomorrow." She did, every morning. Her name was Margaret. 1 week, 6 regulars. 1 month, 30. 3 months, full every morning. 1 quiet Sunday, his father came alone. Simple clothes, old shoes. He sat by the window. He looked at the flowers, the warm light, the quiet customers. "You built something real here, Lucas." "George and I built it together. George showed the direction, but you walked there every morning in the cold. That was you." His father looked at his coffee cup. "I built big offices, expensive suits, but I never built anything warm." He smiled slowly. "Is there work here for an old man who makes decent coffee?" Lucas laughed. A real, deep, happy laugh. "Yes, Papa, there is always work here." George, corner table, every morning. His mother, Sundays, fresh bread, laughing. His father, 3 mornings a week, happy. One cold November morning, exactly 1 year later, a young man came in. Thin jacket, wet shoes, tired eyes. He checked his pockets. Not enough money. He turned to leave. "Wait," said Lucas. "Sit down." Hot coffee, a warm sandwich. "Why are you doing this?" Lucas thought of a cold bench, frozen hands, a kind old man. "Because somebody helped me once, now I help you." From his corner, George looked up. He saw everything. He said nothing. He just smiled into his cup. Outside, morning light came through the big windows, warm and golden, across the small yellow flowers on every table. The hardest days make the strongest men. George Miller.